Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we're driving the 2017 limited edition Aston Martin V12 Vantage S. We love a Vantage because it's 4.3 and 4.7 liter V8 brother. Man, those are great cars. They're really affordable, they're fun to drive, and they always have good style. V8 platform cars seem a bit ageless, and they're quick enough and they're shouty, but this is one of 100 V12 Vantage S's. We've driven one of the rare roadster versions, and it has obviously a V12, a 5.9 liter naturally aspirated V12, and a manual dogleg 7-speed transmission. And to make sure that everyone knows that you've got the V12, this hood with the 4 big cutouts and these nostrils lets you know that it's something special under there. So if you see that hood, either they're lying and they bought an expensive hood, or it's properly a V12 Vantage. Now this one also has the Sport Pack. So standard cars come with 565 horsepower, although the Monroney says 568. When you get the Sport Pack, you pay an extra $9,000. It opens up some colors. That's how we get this China Gray. And I believe it adds about 5 or 10 horsepower. So we'll not be experiencing the difference between that 5 and 10 horsepower, but it doesn't hurt to get to say that you've got more than the other guy who didn't get the Sport Package. The Sport Pack also gets you some special wheels, and I believe only on the coupes, the Alcantara dashboard. So for $9,000, sounds like a lot, but you do get some nice finishing touches. And I don't believe the Sport Pack on the Roadster gave you the Alcantara. You can let me know in the comments if I'm wrong there, but there's always some little tweak. Now, if it sounds like a lot of money for 5 horsepower, I would say don't think about the Sport Pack as a 5 horsepower adder for $9,000. Think about it as PTS. Like, if you can only get those 5 colors with the Sport Pack, then you're just paying for the color, and then you get a few extra little tweaks like the dashboard and the power. Then it starts to make a little more sense. Not saying that's reasonable money for those touches, but hey, people pay big money for silly things all the time on expensive cars, and this was a really expensive car. Base price on a V12 Vantage S in 2017 was about $202,000. With all of the options that this one has, came out to $235,000. So it's no slouch in the pocketbook department. This thing really took some cash. And if you're thinking about what was available in 2017, you're making some choices. You've really got to love this Aston. So I think it's pretty cool. Up front on these special 19-inch wheels, we've got a 255 section tire. Behind it, carbon ceramic brakes with these monster calipers. Looks pretty darn good. In the rear, a 295 section tire to hold on to about 457 pound-feet of torque. Now, one thing that is going to become abundantly clear today is that this car only has about 3,900 miles on it. These tires are original. They've got good tread for sure, but look, here's the deal. Tires are good for like 5 to 7 years, and today's a good example of what happens when you have an older tire. Now, to tell what year your tires are, well, we've got a little date code down here, and for some reason, these are a 15. Oh my goodness. So these are actually 10 years old. So that tells me that Aston Martin, 15. So end of the run, the 50th week of 2015 was when these tires came off. So the first thing I would do if I bought this car, you put on a new set of tires. And that's always a good idea to do anyway. But 10-year-old tires are going to be like hockey pucks, despite the fact that they may have some tread and evacuate the water. They are not going to hook up. So I'll show you what that looks like when we lean on this throttle today, because we've got a lot of juice to play with. Now, under the hood, let me show you what we've got going on here, because this is always a fun party trick. You come to a car show in your lovely, classy Aston, and you still get the fun party trick of opening this hood with this engine. Yes, it says 6.0 V12. It's a 5.9 liter. That's okay. But these intake runners, everything under the hood always looks so good. And I love seeing a V12 shoehorned into a Vantage, because we're used to seeing this in DB9 or DBS. But to put this in a Vantage always looks so exciting. Hand built in England, final inspection, Andrew Byrne. I'm pretty sure I've driven some Andrew Byrne cars in the past, but I love that this is functional and gets some heat evacuated from this engine compartment. And actually, if you're sitting and idling somewhere, you can start to see the waves coming off the hood in front of you, which I love because it reminds me of when I'm driving, say, an Aventador or Murcielago. You look in the back of the car and you see the waves coming up. There's reasonable storage, and this is one of my favorite buttons in the game. Oh, it's a good button. And there you go. You get a little bit of storage space. You can kind of play with this if you want, but whatever. I mean, it's enough for a couple of bags, especially if they're soft, especially if you're very wealthy. Maybe you've got those nice Prada leather bags or something like that, and you can shove them in and try not to scratch them up too much. But plenty of room for the things and some extra carbon fiber touches on these taillights. So anyway, let's jump in and drive, because this is a driver's car, especially with this transmission, which is kind of cool. We've got our emotional control unit, the old keys, they call them ECUs, emotional control units. And this goes right here in the center. We'll clutch in. Jumps right to life. And we've got our very familiar waterfall here, and it's carbon fiber instead of wood, so hopefully this doesn't crack. That's a common thing in all of these VH platform cars, that this waterfall cracks. And when you've got a manual, it's even tougher to find these waterfalls, because normally this would be where your transmission buttons would be, across there. So with no cutouts, these are a little bit rare. Oh, nice supportive seats. Alcantara steering wheel to boot. I think it telescopes and tilts and all the goods. That's lovely. We like that. And then down here is our hand brake. So our brake is currently on, but you'll notice it is down, in case you're wondering how to release that. Well, you pull up until you get a little bit of tension, hit the button, and then push down, and then it goes away. Now, I mentioned this is a 7-speed. I wish it was a 6-speed. That's okay. I'm going to gripe about some things right now, and you'll say, how dare you? That's a perfect Aston. And in some ways it is, but this should be a 6-speed. I don't understand why it needed a 7, but I love the novelty of having a dog leg, because it's just fun to have first gear down here. So if you're wondering, I'm sure I'll get comments saying, this guy's been starting off in second gear. Well, no, I'm not. I'm actually starting off in first gear, because a dog leg is first gear over and down. Reverse is forward, and then right into there. So off we go. Let's go take a little drive. Kind of finds its way right into second. We like that. What's funny is so many things on this car are like ultra high quality, and this is just the cheapest blinker stock you could imagine putting in a vehicle. I think I'd complain about it if it was in a Chevy Bolt. One of the things I love most about Aston V12s is that they're so easy. They just have torque all over the place. They're just nice daily drivers, which I know isn't why people necessarily buy these, but it is a real added benefit. The carbon ceramics are a little touchy, but anyway, let's see what we can do getting down the road in this. Get these windows up for wind noise. So, one of the reasons that this 7-speed bothers me a little bit, and I'll just end it here I'll end my gripes here. This is all I'm going to say. I just think there's too many gates. I think it's not hard to find yourself through a 7-speed. It's just that there's too many gates a little too close together. Put it in sport mode. And then we'll be nice and respectful past our cyclist friend on the recumbent bike. Extra risky. Perfect fall day. This car actually has great rev matching system. And I don't know how to turn that off, because it does it both in sport mode and out of sport mode, so that might just be kind of a fixed situation. I don't know if you're ever really allowed to do it with your own 2 feet. Vantage platform cars, this is my favorite era of modern Aston Martins, just because I feel like they drive a little bit raw, they're a little bit rowdy, they're a little bit Larry. The rear ends always want to like do something, especially in the V12 models, and they feel wide and muscular. Like you can really chuck them into a corner and they'll be fine. Now, like we're just out doing some little touring today through the foliage here in lovely New England, the end of October. I can't go too crazy here. This is Homes, you know. We're not going to go slamming gears at 100 miles an hour through this. Carbon ceramics are fantastic. I think they have a little bit of an angry bite if you're just kind of cruising around town, but you can manage it. It's not that unsavory. But what I like about this transmission is that it does allow you, or this engine I should say, it allows you to skip shift when you're like, okay, cool, like I did what I needed up to 4th gear, like send it to 6th or 7th, whatever, and it's like, yeah, that's fine. Like it has torque all the time, everywhere. That's what you get with hockey puck tires. I have to just really pedal it in first. In second, if I'm trying to demonstrate to you like the situation, then I can. But like, look, we'll wait till we get past this fella, so we're not slithering past him. But I'm just gonna lean in the throttle. Pretty much instant wheel spin and traction control. So, do yourself a favor. Always get yourself some fresh tires. Make sure they're not more than like at least 5 years old. And you should be in good shape. Sometimes you don't notice these things, unfortunately, in less powerful cars. So here's your little tire tip. Check your date codes, because if you're in a car that maybe has like 150 or 250 pound-feet of torque and it's not liable to spin tires at all ever anyway under throttle, you may not notice this, but when you do find out, it's going to be in a very bad situation, because you're going to find out that it's not going to hook up when you need it most, when you've already entered a corner and suddenly the grip is gone. That's not a good place to be. You do not want to be there. So always check your date codes. To be fair to this transmission though, I've harped on it for being a 7-speed. 7th is great. It's a good cruising gear and it's not too low. It's actually in a really good sweet spot. It harnesses the proper power band at highway speeds where you need to be, and it allows the rest of this transmission to be short, close ratios. And that makes for a fun driving experience once you kind of adapt to the style of driving this dogleg. about this car is it really does feel faster than all of its other V12 counterparts. There's just something so special about putting this engine in this car that I don't know if there's any way to describe it other than magical. Like, it just feels a little hot rodish. And one of the best things about it is that it doesn't feel overly complicated in terms of the driving experience, because it didn't receive some ungodly heavy clutch or anything like that. It's very normal to drive. It's just that when you get into it, it goes immediately. Like, it goes as fast as your foot goes down. And if you're not sure what that means, I want you to drive a Miata, because you can put your foot as far in that car as you want, and it doesn't go any faster, whether you're here or here or here or here. It just goes like it's just bogging engine, right? This car, it's like you put your foot in it and you're off. Like, we're going, and you tell it how hard you want to go. Visibility is fine. I just really don't like that. That corner back there is very tricky. So adjust your mirrors accordingly. You'll be just fine. But the problem with cars like this is, like, as you can see, this one only has 3,900 miles on it. Someone likely didn't spend very much time driving it, which means that they may be less familiar with that blind spot than all of their other cars that they put 12 or 15,000 miles a year on. So if this is a car that is simply your weekender, just be sure that you're confident and comfortable, or at least cautious about that blind spot. You ever meet a dog that just wants to run? Like, it's in the house, it's jumping around, it looks like it just like legitimately cannot contain itself. And then you let it out the back door, and it just poof goes. And it's like off over there, and then it's over there, and then it's over there. Like, that's what this car feels like. It feels like it just wants to be let off leash. It wants to go. But it's also like a good little snuggly guy when you're on the couch and wants to hang out. Like, it's got great behavior all around, but this is just really impressive on-throttle behavior. It really scoots. It feels like a lightweight. You know what it feels like? Ooh, I don't know if anyone's gonna like me saying this. 911R kind of has this feeling. It kind of has a 911R vibe in terms of the way it's so eager to go. Yeah, like a lightweight Porsche vibe. That's the thing. I'm sure 911R is the humble, broad comparison that everybody in the audience can relate to, but it's true. It kind of has that vibe. Like, ooh, there's something going on here that I really like. The world's most insane yield sign and a complete blind spot. So yeah, we are gonna wait to not go and get in an accident with a local CRV driver. So guys, I think that's gonna wrap up the V12 Vantage S Coupe. We've done the Roadster a couple times. I like that car, but I wasn't in love with the 7-speed dogleg. It's not that I don't like a manual. Of course I like a manual. Oh, but I do love the juice. This thing has so much torque. It's wonderful. I feel like this shifter in this particular car is adjusted better than the last one I drove. So while my praise, I feel like this shifter is adjusted slightly better than the one that I drove in the Roadster, which means that I can give this more praise than I used to give it. Although I still think just giving it a normal 6-speed or a dogleg 6-speed, that's fine. Don't care about where the positions are. Just give it a tall 6 gear and call it a day. Totally fine. I would have been okay with that. I just think there's like one too many gates here, but all that means is that you need to adapt to it a little bit. And if you get in this car immediately and feel just a hint clumsy like I tend to do with this 7-speed, it's not just you. You're fine. Maybe you get in and you're a superhero and you're like, I have no idea what he's talking about. I'm perfect with it. Ooh, did we just... Okay, he survived. There was a chipmunk. Had a habit of prematurely ending chipmunks' lives in cars lately. There's a lot of them. So I think we did a good job. We did not commit a chipmunkicide on camera once again. But if you're a hero in the car immediately and you don't know what I'm talking about, great, fantastic. But if you do drive this car and you feel like, I'm just like a little bit off with it, not so certain, then it's not just you, and it's just going to take a little bit of time and getting used to. The best thing about these Astons is that they really capture the essence of what I think Aston Martin is, and that's possibly an age thing, but I don't look at a new Vantage or DB12 or any of those cars and really feel like a connection to the brand the way I do with this, or a Repeat, or a DB9, or DBS of this era. I just think these things really hold a special place. Ooh, a Rutan? Come on. I don't know why I get excited about these things. I just think this car holds a real special place in the iconography of the brand, and nobody doesn't look at this car and know what it is or what it means. They may not know what it costs, but they know it's a lot. And that's all anybody needs to know, especially if you're buying a 4.3 single clutch automated gearbox V8 Vantage for like $35,000 because everyone thinks you paid $100. That's always nice. I think ergonomically, these are just, they're simple, they're good, they're easy to drive, they're fun, you get to play with the rear end a little bit, it's an aggressive differential, the steering is fantastic and telepathic and both luxurious and sporty at the same time. You get tons of feedback through this hydraulic rack. It's just a good time. You gotta maintain them, you gotta do the thing, but I think if you can pony up the cash for one of these kind of rare V12 Vantage S's, you're gonna get a really sick package. And it's not that it's even like a better sound. I really do enjoy the sound of a 4.7 liter V8, but there's something about this 5.9 V12 that just sets it apart and really moves on throttle. So thankfully they have repaved all of this junky road. It's going to get torn up in about a month when the winter hits, but that's okay. That was a late go on that one, honey. Okie doke. That was red for a while on you. So drive defensively. Don't forget to respect the drive. Spin some tires. Replace your tires if they're old as these. And yeah, man, I'll see you in the next one.